everyone and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I am in a different location because I came back from the UK to South Africa. I was meant to go back to work, but unfortunately I am on medical leave at the moment. So yeah, I just thought I would film this video. I kind of stopped doing it because I don't know, I was kind of scattered and all over the place. I think I still will be, honestly, but anyway, today we're going to be doing a wrap up of my January reads. So without further ado, let's just jump straight in. The majority of the books I do not currently have with me, and also, sorry, this is just a mic, so ignore that, but I don't have the majority of the books with me, but I will just pop some pictures on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Also, I did my yearly roundup quite early in December, so I didn't include books that I read at the end of December. I kind of slotted that into January, so late December is going to be part of January as well. I also just have my reading journal here. I did get this off Amazon and it is just all laid out for you. I just don't have the time to have to create something. So I bought a little thermal printer and I've just been filling this out. It does have prompts, it has challenges, it has a bookshelf. Where's that? Let me show you that. So it has a bookshelf like that, and I filled out all my January books there. And then I also just filled in majority of the books that I actually currently have on my reading list. I have 34 books on my reading list. Let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, late December, I did start I think I did a reading vlog on it, but anyway, that was slotted into January, like I mentioned before. The first book I read was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I gave this book a 4.5 star rating. I really did enjoy her writing style. It was my first experience with Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I found her writing really, really easy and super fast paced. So I just enjoyed it and thoroughly ate it up. I read the book so quickly and I was really impressed with that. As you can see over there, I got the inheritance games as well, just to include, because I really enjoyed her writing, like I said. 4.5 stars for this one. It kind of follows Cassie, who is our main female character, and she's recruited to the FBI. They're supposed to work on cold cases and help profile people, and all of them have an ability. So we have someone who's really good at statistics, someone who's a human lie detector, someone who can read emotions on people's face. If you watch that program Lie to Me, I used to love that, and you can just tell cues on people's faces. In saying that, it would really interest me because I am very much into crime investigation and I love watching interrogation, so that fell into that category. So I really enjoyed that. Cassie is very naive, she just kind of is a teenager and does what she feels like, so it kind of gets her in sticky situations. They end up working on a active case, and yeah, it's so fast paced, it is so good, and I would 100% recommend. Then I read The Selection by Kiera Cass. Again, I love this book. I actually read both books, but we'll get back to that in a second. But The Selection I really did enjoy. It took a while to get used to her writing style. Some of the things that she wrote I felt was irrelevant, but the world building I understood. It was kind of Hunger Games-esque, just in with factions and stuff like that. Even Divergent I would slightly compare it to, but they're in factions and there's this competition just to, I guess, motivate the lower factions that they can enter and stand a chance to become the princess. So the prince is looking for a wife, and yeah, she enters the selection, but she kind of has a secret boyfriend because it's illegal to have extracurricular activities with men in this little dystopian world. She has a secret boyfriend who kind of breaks up with her before she enters into the selection, but at the same time he also pushes her into it. So she goes into the selection not fully wanting to be there. She kind of befriends the prince and they kind of come up with a little agreement where they he agrees to keep her there as long as possible so her family can get money, and she kind of tells him about how the world is outside of this palace and he didn't know that his people were living like that. So it's very encouraging, and it's very easy to understand because it is YA dystopian. But yeah, I really enjoyed the process of it. I read some reviews and a lot of people did not like this whole series, but I really am enjoying it so far. I really enjoyed that book. So our main female character, her name is America, and then the prince's name, I think in a previous video I said Maxton, but it's Maxon. Yeah, there's just like some bitchy girls there and she's competing with them, and eventually she starts to kind of have feelings for the prince as well. So yeah, it just takes you on a little romantic journey. I was probably swooning. It was just a really good book, and I hate it when I say that, but I gave that a 4-star, which is still pretty high, and I would 100% recommend once again. Then I read finally Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, and I gave this a 5-star. Like, the whole dystopian process of world building and all of that, like, it just spoke to me. I like kind of sci-fi-esque dystopian, so it was really, really intriguing for me. Our main female character, Juliet, has the ability to like kill someone with touching them, so she's ended up in a mental institution because of this. Like, her parents didn't want her, and she accidentally like murdered a kid by trying to help him. So she's been in this institution not knowing that she's being watched and monitored by the general of like the army's son, and he kind of just wants her and he's obsessed with her and in love with her, and she needs to escape. And yeah, so you go on this kind of journey with her, and it's really, really interesting, and I cannot wait to continue in this series. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Would 100% recommend. It's one of my favorite books. Over on my makeup channel, I am actually going to be doing a giveaway later in the month. If you go and subscribe there as well, you can stand a chance to win this book, and I'm going to annotate it as well, and then that will be included in this big giveaway that I am doing. Also, YA dystopian, I obviously don't want to give too much away, but 10 out of 10. I love this book. The covers are gorgeous. I bought the whole collection. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to carry on with that. Then for a vlog, which I'm not sure if you'll see before or after this video, I was doing a like read thrillers with me for a week just to like change it up a little bit from my usual genre that I read. So I read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaeli. I gave this one a 3.5 star, which is the same as I gave The Maidens, which was the first book I read from him. I just felt like the book was a bit too chaotic. I feel like the patient could have definitely started speaking sooner, but it follows our main female character, whose name is Alicia, and she went to jail or was institutionalized for murdering her husband. But people think she was an artist and he was a photographer, and a lot of people thought that maybe she didn't do it, and then the other half thinks that she did do it, and the reason she isn't speaking is because the guilt, and she must have experienced something. But this new psychologist comes in, and he's like left one hospital or institution to move to this institution so he could treat her. She's very volatile, very violent, and her dosage of medicine is too high to the point where she's like basically comatose on her feet. So he lowers her dosage, he works with her, but he has his own like point of view. So he's going through his own stuff, and I enjoyed that side of the story. It kind of felt like Desperate Housewives, like, yeah. So, but her story, I just felt like it was a little bit repetitive and I didn't know where it was going. But she starts talking in the end, and there's a twist that I didn't expect, which is why I gave it a 3.5 instead of like a 3. But all in all, I just felt like I think he is from Greek descent, so a lot of stuff that he writes in his book has got to do with like either Greek mythology or something with Greek or Greece. So I didn't enjoy that aspect, like the historical part of Greece. If I wanted to read that in a book, I would, but it's not really mentioned in like the synopsis or anywhere like that. So I don't think I will be reading many more of his books. Like, he does have a book coming out this year called Fury, which has kind of the evil eye on the front cover. So I think I'll opt out of that just because I don't like where his writing has gone. I've read 2 of his books now. Not my favorite. I didn't feel like a thriller at all. It just felt like a domestic drama to me, so I wouldn't recommend that book personally unless you like domestic dramas. Which takes us into the next book, which is The Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell, and I gave this a 2-star. It was my first Lisa Jewell book, and I've only heard good things about her, especially her mystery. I think she only writes mystery/thrillers, but it wasn't very thrilling. Again, it felt like a domestic drama, more like Desperate Housewives. We have supposed to be our main female character, Sapphire, who goes missing. And then we have Kate, who is like the desperate housewife, and it mostly follows her story. Then we have the neighbor across the road from Kate, who I think his name was, she keeps calling him Clive, but I can't remember what his name, Owen. His name was Owen, and he's like kind of an incel. He's 33 years old, has never like had any interactions with women, has never had a girlfriend. So he's kind of like frowned upon as a weirdo. But we follow those three timelines, and I just felt like Sapphire, who was meant to be like the main character and the main storyline, was not presented as much as I would like her to. I would have loved to follow more of her input in the whole disappearance and all of that. So Kate was the main character, like I said, and I just felt like the domestic drama of it isn't for me. I'm not a housewife. I don't even have kids. So it just wasn't written for someone like me. So, I mean, if you do like that, like I said, by all means, pick it up. But personally, I thought it was a waste of time, and it was pushing me into a slump. But I had to finish that video, which leads us into our next book, which is The Sanatorium. This is my first DNF of 2024. I just feel like I shouldn't waste my time reading books that feel exhausting to me, and it felt like it was putting me into a slump. So The Sanatorium kind of is about an establishment that used to be a sanatorium and has now been like converted into like a 5-star hotel. My camera battery is gonna die, so let me change that out quickly. I literally just got this camera and I bought an extra battery, but it was fully charged and now it's like on 3 bars. So let's see how this goes. But anyway, The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce follows our main female character. I already mentioned that it was a sanatorium converted into a luxury hotel in the Swiss Alps, and our main female character, Ellen, who is kind of an unreliable narrator as she's been through something really traumatic and has like really bad PTSD. Her boyfriend like just seems a bit like wishy-washy. He's like trying to force her to move in with him, forcing her to change her behaviors to suit him. And then she has her older brother who is getting engaged, which is why they went to the sanatorium, and he's like getting married and it's his engagement party, but his fiance goes missing. So there's kind of like it feels like a paranormal aspect. Like there's this gold band that people keep picking up off the ground, and every time they do that they end up either dead or missing. It just felt all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason for what was going on, and it felt like the author tried to like put so many different tropes in one book that it just wasn't successful. And she kept repeating the fact that it was in Switzerland, and I don't care, like I get it, it's in the Swiss Alps, and she was just like forcing that on you. So I didn't enjoy that book, so I decided to DNF it at like 150 pages, which should count as a book in itself. But that was my very first DNF, and I just didn't have any patience for it. And I did feel very, very slumpy after that. However, I needed to finish the vlog off on a good note. So I started Five Survive by Holly Jackson. It's her new release, I think from, I want to say December last year or November, but it was her newest release, and I picked that up I got it off Amazon. So I gave this a 4-star, and to be honest, I did not enjoy the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Horrible for me personally. I just found it very, very juvenile, and I didn't really get on with it. I did read the first book. I didn't continue the series for that reason. Like I just felt like it would be a waste of my time. And I just felt like it took too much of my time. So Five Survive follows 6 friends who go on like their spring break holiday, and they go in like a camper van, do a road trip. The whole book takes place in like 8 hours. So very, very, very fast paced, and it kept me intrigued and I think pulled me slightly out of that slump. It follows our main female character, Red, who again is like an unreliable source, and she's been through a lot of trauma. Like her mom passed away and her dad's an alcoholic due to losing his wife, and she's just kind of been floating around trying to help out as much as she can, and that's why they ended up going on this road trip instead of like flying to their destination because she couldn't really afford it. But they have some car troubles and end up being hunted down by a sniper. So one by one they're like trying to take them out, and these snipers stipulations are that, you know, there's one of them that has a secret that can save the rest of them. So he's waiting for them to reveal the secret, which is kind of something to do with the mafia. And yeah, it was very, very interesting, very fast paced. Her best friend is Maddie, who has a secret as well. And Maddie kind of knew what was going on with Red the whole time, but didn't mention it. But her brother Oliver, who's like kind of like their babysitter with his girlfriend Raina, he's, oh my gosh, the most infuriating, annoying character ever. But it still kept me enticed because I wanted to know what stupid thing he would do next. And I would 100% recommend this, but I couldn't recommend the Good Girls Guide to Murder. I just didn't enjoy that one very much. But yeah, very, very exciting there. So next, which I mentioned before, I read The Elite, which is I'm just putting the reading journal in because that's the last I filled in. So The Elite by Kiera Cass, which is the sequel to The Selection. At first, I didn't really enjoy it very much. It kind of felt like a repetition of the first book, like the first half at least, but then it got a little bit more interesting. Maxon was kind of all over the place a little bit because America wasn't kind of sure where she was with her feelings towards him. And at the end of The Selection, her boyfriend Aspen, I didn't mention this, but her ex-boyfriend Aspen is employed by the palace and is now a guard, so he's there and she's just a little bit confused about her feelings. Like, she's only 17 and it's understandable, but yeah, there's just like, it gave me whiplash back and forth, like Aspen then Maxon, then Aspen then Maxon, and she didn't know kind of where her feelings lie, which I feel is normal. And yeah, she's a teen and we've all been there. I read reviews on that and really, really bad reviews, but I ended up giving this a 3-star because I did enjoy it towards the end. There was not as much swoon as there was in the first one, but I'm really excited to see what happens in the next book because I want to know who the one is. Very excited for that, but obviously it didn't rate very high just because I felt like there was a lot of repetition from book one, which I understand authors do that sometimes, but I don't like that in series when they kind of focus on the previous book too much in the first part, because I want to be, you know, submerged in the world again and not have to wait too long. So I do really enjoy that. Like I said, the basic plot line is just America trying to decide who she wants to be with a couple of like interesting plot twists, but other than that, it wasn't the best book I've read. At least we have one 5-star there. Then the next book I do have here, I read Killer Instinct last week when I was flying home. I started it literally at the airport at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I finished it like a day after I'd been home. This again was very fast paced, but like most authors do, like I was just saying, in the first maybe 40 pages, it's kind of repetition of the first book, just trying to explain who they are, what they're doing, what their purpose is, what they went through at the end of the last book, which I guess is good if you have a long gap in between. But this one was, again, very interesting. I think after the 50-page mark, it picked up a lot and I was very intrigued to see what happened. This one follows Dean, who is one of the kids. He's also a profiler, just like Cassie is in the first one, but it kind of follows him. His father is a serial killer and is in jail for that, and he was the first of the naturals like to form the group because he was so good at profiling. And obviously he kind of knew that his father was a murderer and he didn't know how to broach the subject, but some things unfold and it's really, really interesting. It's like watching an episode of CSI, or like I said, the program Lie to Me, which I really love. So this was really, really great. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star, so that's quite high, and I cannot wait to read the next book. So very, very excited for this. But again, it's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and is the second book in the Natural series. My throat is really dry, but we're almost done. This tea tastes like gumdrops. It's like, I think it's called Buchu. It's Buchu and Rooibos. So like I mentioned, I'm on medical leave, so I'm having to like change my diet after my diagnosis and stuff. So I'm just trying to figure out what's good for my body at the moment. So yeah. Lastly, for this month is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I got the 1911 classic edition with original illustrations. I was so excited for this because Peter Pan is one of my favorite Disney movies. So I like the 2003 like live action. I really, with Jeremy Sumter, really love that book. I mean, that movie's so good. Then I read like the fairy tales that I have in like that fairy tale for girls and like the princesses of Tinkerbell, like I read those versions, but I never actually read this version of the book. Oh my gosh, did I struggle to read this. I'm currently in a slump because of it. It was just so chaotic. They used language that I'm sure was made up. Never heard of half the words he used in there. There's no like real, when books change their point of view, who's talking or who the story is about. It just jumped from Peter to the parents to Wendy to Michael, and it was just all over the place. So I gave this a 2-star, and the 1-star, well, one of the stars was just for nostalgia. The part that I did enjoy, I'm not gonna lie, was the last chapter, which is when Wendy grew up. And there's a bit of this that I didn't know was part of the story, which is that Wendy grows up and then, well, put it this way, when at the end of the previous chapter, when they get home and, the lost boys are adopted by them, Peter tries to entice Wendy to come back with him, but her mother kind of makes a deal with him and said every summer she can come back and help him spring clean the hideout. He comes back maybe two spring times after that, and then he kind of forgets about her. Then one day he comes back and she's already got a daughter and she's grown up, married. Now her daughter needs to carry on the tradition of spring cleaning, and then her daughter after that. So that's kind of how all the adaptations or reimaginings kind of take this, is from the end of the book where all relatives of Wendy need to go to Neverland with Peter and uphold their deal. So that I didn't know, which was great, but generally speaking, it was terrible. I didn't enjoy the writing style, I didn't enjoy the use of language, I didn't enjoy the flow, I didn't enjoy like the chronological order of chapters. It was just a little bit messy and all over the place and put me into a slump. So I'm currently reading Never by Jessa Hastings, which is a reimagining, and I've read like 9 pages because I'm in such a bad slump. But yeah, that's kind of all the books that I read in January. I don't even know how many books that is, but yeah, I'm very excited. I do have quite an extensive TBR with me. A lot of my books, the large collection of my books, are in the UK because books are just more accessible there. So I kind of just leave some there and then bring them back and forth. And then when my fiance travels as well, he'll bring a couple back and forth. So it just works better for me. So yeah, I have quite an extensive TBR with me now. I don't have a set TBR for February, but I know I kind of want to do reading vlogs on most of my new books, especially the ACOTAR series. I want to do The Ballad of Never After. I want to do the Inheritance Games, and I definitely want to do Magnolia Park. So yeah, we'll see where that takes us. I am home for like another 4 weeks on medical leave, so yeah, hopefully I'll have time to film and edit some more for you guys. But thank you so much for joining. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were. And please also subscribe to my other channel if you see this video and stand a chance to win a massive giveaway. But that's it from me, guys. I will see you in my next one. Bye.